Today we're going to be tackling one of the biggest sources of frustration and intimidation in leathercraft, and that's zippers. That's coming up. Hello everyone, my name is Daniel Reitz. This is Weaver Leather Supply. Today we're going to be taking a look at zippers, and for some reason they intimidate a lot of leather crafters. And I really think that it's this perception that they're really easy to mess up. And if you go into it without any experience, not knowing what you're doing, that's probably true. But if you follow some very basic steps, you shouldn't have any problem adding zippers to any of your upcoming projects. So what's the first thing that we need to take a look at? Well, that would be the opening for the zipper. So how do we know how big to make the opening for the zipper? Well, I can't give you exact measurements because let's face it, zippers come in all different sizes. But a good rule of thumb is if you take your zipper, the opening for it should be roughly half the width of the zipper from side to side. So what that's going to do is once we center the zipper in that opening, 50% will be showing and 25% will be hanging off each side. And that 25% is what we're going to use to stitch through and secure it to the project. So today we're really not going to be talking about how to position that opening for the zipper in your project. That's a whole separate video. What we're going to be talking about today is how to create that opening, how to position your zipper in the opening, and then how to secure it to the project. And we're going to start by grabbing our round end punch and punching a hole on each end of where we want that opening. Once we've done that, we're simply going to grab our straight edge and connect the cuts. So obviously we want the zipper to have a professional finished look to it. And one of the things we need to do to accomplish that is take our bevel and bevel the top side of the opening. So take your bevel, go around and bevel the top side of that opening that we just created. Once we're done with that, we're going to take our token oil and we're going to go ahead and slick that edge. Now, it's really important that we do it now because once the zipper is attached and installed, it can be done, but it's going to be really difficult to slick that edge. So let's go ahead and do it now. So one of the areas that a lot of people run into problems when it comes to installing zippers is having their stitch line go outside this fabric portion of the zipper. And obviously if your stitches aren't going through this fabric, well then you're not securing it to the project, and that's kind of pointless. Not that I would know, I've never done that. Nope, never done that. So what's the best way to do this? Well, what we're gonna do is we're gonna take our zipper and our wing dividers. I'm gonna take one side of it and I'm gonna butt it right up against that zipper, and then I'm gonna open it up to roughly 25% the width of the fabric on that side. From there, I'm gonna take my wing dividers, I'm gonna go to my project, and on the back side of the leather, I'm gonna score a line all the way around the back side of that opening that we created. Now, why are we doing that? Well, we're gonna be using leather weld to glue the zipper to the fabric. And leather weld, it has almost a watery consistency. It's like Elmer's glue. Well, what can happen is if you get a little too much in there, or maybe it's too close to the opening, as you're securing that zipper fabric to the project, you can get glue that seeps out from under the opening that we created. So we're scoring the back of it to give us a gluing line. What we want to do is we want to make sure that glue stays on the outside of that line. That's going to give us the biggest margin for error so that if we do get a little extra in there, we've got the best chance possible of it not seeping out from under and showing up on the top side of our zipper. So why are we using leather weld instead of double-sided tape or contact cement, which both are options if you're comfortable with those? For me, I want a little bit more margin for error there. I want to be able to fix any mistakes. With double-sided tape, you've kind of got one shot to get it on there and get it right. If you start pulling it up, you lose a little bit of the stickiness of the double-sided tape. With contact cement, you really got one shot. You better nail it the first time. Well, what happens if you put it in there and your zipper's not straight? It's kind of wandering all over the place. Well, at that point, you're just kind of out of luck, or maybe you have to start over, right? Well, with leather weld, because it doesn't set right away, we can put it on the back, we can secure our zipper to the project, and then we can flip it over and we can start maneuvering the zipper until it's straight. And then it's just a matter of letting the glue dry. So now we've created the opening, we've secured the zipper to the project with leather weld, but we still haven't placed our stitch line yet. And that's really the important make or break moment. So how do we do that? Well, what we're gonna do is we're gonna grab our wing dividers again, and we're gonna go to the back of the project. You can feel the edge of that opening right there. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take my wing dividers, I'm gonna put one edge of the wing dividers up against the edge of the opening, and then I'm gonna set the width of my wing dividers so that it hits roughly in the center, maybe a little bit on the outside of that margin that we have right there. And what that's gonna do is when I flip it over, I can then run my wing dividers, and that will give us our stitch line. We can go back and double check it, put one edge up against the opening, see where that tine lands, flip it over, double check, make sure that that's lining up correctly. And what that's gonna do, that's gonna allow us to have confidence in our stitch line and know that it's gonna be going through the zipper. So now it's time for the stitching chisel and time to start punching those holes. So when you get to the end, obviously these straight chisels that we have, they don't go around a curve very well. So what you're gonna wanna do is you're gonna wanna stop just before the curve begins. Then you're gonna wanna grab your single tine chisel and put a stitch hole right at the apex of that curve. That's gonna divide it into two remaining sections. From here, I'm gonna decide, do I want one stitch hole or do I want two in those two areas that we have? I would prefer to err on the side of caution. I would rather have a longer stitch than a crowded stitch. From there, it's just a matter of saddle stitching the zipper in place. Now, Chuck's done an amazing video on how to saddle stitch, so I'm not gonna cover that again. We'll put a link in the description below, but that'll do it for this video. I will see you in the next one. In the meantime, go make something amazing.